Hi everyone, I'm Dan, Dennis's third of 5 children. On behalf of Dave, Michelle, Marie, and Derek, I'd like to start out by thanking everyone for joining today in person and virtually. It means a lot to my family and me. And each person who walked through that door earlier this morning just brought a rush of memories of my father and the times we all had together. These past few weeks have been tough. For those not aware, my father was battling 2 serious diseases. One called amyloidosis, attacking his heart, and the other called myelofibrosis, which was a bone marrow blood cancer, both diagnosed in the last 18 months or so. This whole time we've been relying on FaceTime and WhatsApp to be updated remotely by Michelle and Marge, who have been with my father day in and day out. There's something about the distance that would keep the reality of where we were at bay. Like when you hang up, you can assume that he was just going to get better. About a month ago, Michelle called my siblings and I and said that it was time for us to come in to be with my father. So we did, and we got to spend time with him as he continued to try everything to get better. The treatments, the medicine, the physical therapy, but unfortunately, this was God's plan for him. And when he passed on Monday, we were exhausted and we were crushed. We made the calls and we cried the tears over and over. Since that time, we've been amazed. Every conversation we've had talking to people about my father, people would share what he meant to them and what they remembered most about him. It was clear that everyone knew what we knew. He was an amazing person that was respected, admired, and appreciated by so many people. Friends, siblings, teammates, everyone. And each time it brought a smile to our faces, which led us to sitting around with a few drinks and just telling stories about him. I hope to capture just a few of those thoughts today. So bear with me, indulge me for a moment. There's so much I want to say about my father, about a life well lived and well loved. One of the first things that always comes out is what an amazing father he was, and how his family came first before everything. What stands out most of all is how he raised 5 children as a single father. In high school, all of my friends' parents would talk about how amazing he was, raising all of us kids on his own. At the time, I agreed in everything. I always thought he was amazing. And it seemed like it would be tough, but he didn't make it look that tough. We all managed and we all had wonderful childhoods. Now I reflect as a father of my own, I couldn't fathom what it was like for him. The sacrifices he made personally and the service he gave to try giving us a normal childhood. And while it's so tough to define what a normal childhood was for us, it was his love. That's what we remember from our childhood. Our father was always there for all of our swim meets, frisbee, soccer, lacrosse, rugby, rowing. He loved going to them. I remember sometimes wondering why he'd be a little bit late for a 5:15 swim meet or soccer game. Imagine having that expectation today, looking around and knowing what it takes to do that, but day in and day out, he was there. He was there for us. The stories and memories from these sporting events have come in loud and clear from people on Facebook or messages. I always have fond memories of your father. He was always there. Some would remark, at these events, you could always hear his voice. He'd always be analyzing the game. He'd be saying what we need to do. He had no volume control. Another one remarked, I remember your dad shouting at the side of the pool, "Go Marie! Go Marie!" And another, your dad was the best. I'll always remember his smile and his laugh. Your father was always there. At the drop of a hat, he would come see us on the other side of the country or even the world for whatever time he could. He came in at my first anniversary, so he could take care of my eldest while my wife and I went out to eat. He flew out to California a year and a half ago so we could spend time when I was in for work. And he always had this weird approach to moving us. He seemed to enjoy moving us for some reason. And so we'd always take him up on it. He'd come in and he would just get in there and just drive the whole process. And if I'm being honest, I would kind of lag back a little, and he would just be a machine, packing things away, putting stuff in order. And he would just turn to me. He'd just be like, Dan, we just got to get it done. That was his mentality. We just got to get it done. And he always prioritized family above all else. When all our school friends would be going down to Disney World or Siesta Key, we'd be piling in the minivan or the station wagon, and we'd be doing the haul back to Michigan, going to Grandma's house. And I'm forever grateful for that. We had so many great memories at Grandma Wolbert's, playing kick the can, or one of probably my annual highlight, the Easter egg hunt. Imagine 30 cousins running around my grandma's backyard. They're my most vivid memories growing up, all centered around family, all centered around love. The kind of thing you don't appreciate at the time, but I'm so thankful to have these memories in this close extended family, so many of which have joined us virtually and in person. And he has been an amazing grandfather. All of his strong viewpoints about how to raise children, how what he did back in the day and what it's like. It's always been a little bit fun for my siblings and I. Like some of the classic ones he'd talk about swaddling. And he would do it every single time where he would lift his arms up and he'd say, it's not natural. Children have to be able to move their arms. And there'd be all these debates about it. He needs to move his arms. Or when it'd be time to put the kids to bed, and rather than giving them a quick peck on the cheek, he'd take his hand in his seat and then he'd tickle the heck out of them to get them riled up, and he'd have that giggle that we all enjoyed so much. And in our what became for us our kind of an annual tradition we'd have when we come in is we'd go to Great Wolf Lodge, the water slide place, and we'd always bring my father with us. Now, when you think what most grandparents are like when they go with their grandkids to a water slide place, you kind of expect that they'll take care of the food with them. They'll watch the young ones in the kiddie pool. Not my father. He was all about the water slides. He was all about, in his little sarcastic, goading way, going to each of the grandchildren. Come on, you want to go on the wolf's tail? Come on, you want to go on the wolf's tail? And he would tease them, trying to get them to go up on the wolf's tail, which is that kind of straight down water slide. And then randomly, he would just do it. We'd just be going up. He'd be like, okay, I'll see you guys at the bottom. And he'd hop in, cross his arms, and disappear. But that's what he loved. He's 71 years old when he's doing that. And he just loved playing with the grandkids. He loved life. He loved it. He lived a life of service and to be there for everyone. So many people have shared anecdotes about advice that he taught or he gave them through tough times. And without fail, so many have said, your father got me through this time, whether it's a year ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago. And through it all, through the challenges he lived a life full of perspective and faith. His most common saying were stuff like, it is what it is. Well, Dan, that's life. That's reality. And as Father Jim mentioned, whenever I would have a hand-wringing decision, he'd always say, Dan, you never make a wrong decision. It's just that some decisions are more right than others. You can imagine how many times we came to him with a, Papa, I can't believe this happened in school or with the kids or at work. And he'd come back with, Dan, that's life. It's happened, so what are you going to do next? He could always put things in perspective. In fact, it seemed the only thing he would ever stress over, and it was a big stress, was how to save an extra $5. It's a very, very Wolbert trait. Each of these phrases are focused on perspective and moving forward, not looking back but learning, not being suffocated by something that happened at work, but by being able to focus on what's important in life. It's something I struggle with, and I continue to look to him for inspiration. And wrapped around all of this was a life centered around God and faith, a belief which he practiced and exemplified throughout his life. Once we were all grown up and out of the house, he continued to live it, and he continued to find joy in it. Daily Mass, volunteering at St. Vincent de Paul or Habitat, being active in the Finance Committee. He has been a man of strong faith throughout his life. And that's the solace I take now. He lived this amazing life which has guided so many of us here today, so he could be rewarded with eternal paradise. And I know he's there now with a special place in all of our hearts. It's a life that I can only strive to model myself after. And now, each time someone says to me, "Oh my gosh, you sound exactly like your father," I'll take that as the biggest compliment someone could ever give me. We'll miss him so dearly, and we pray that he is enjoying his rest. But we know through our faith, my father will always be there. May he rest in peace.